All for a City podcast, Ep.7. Go check out Ep.6 if you haven't seen that yet. In this episode, I will be reviewing the Reno versus Orange County game and talking about the upcoming Austin match. Last week was a busy week. It seems like I did a lot. This week already has been just as busy. If you're not aware, I am putting the podcast notes on my blog. I'm also putting post-game reviews on that same blog. A lot of stuff is happening on there, so go check that out. Moving on to Reno 1868 news. Prior to last Saturday's match, the team signed 5 new players, 2 of which are 6-foot and 6'5" goalkeepers. Apparently, Reno has been training without goalkeepers for something like 2 weeks leading up to their home opener. I'm not going to go through all 5 signings. If you want to know more about the signings, then go check out the article on the Reno 1868 website. They did a good job with that, and I will leave a link below. But looking at the 2 keepers, their signing changes the keeper dynamic in Reno and San Jose. I think that what will happen from here on out is that both teams will have 3 keepers. Having 3 means that both teams will have an emergency keeper. If someone gets injured or the team plays in a friendly, then we don't have to risk injury to our starter and he can get some rest. Going back to what I said last week about JT and Matt, I think San Jose will keep Matt now. If he does come to Reno, it will only be to get playing time. JT getting the start for Reno on Saturday shows that San Jose want him to get the most playing time he can. In theory, that should allow him to develop more. I'm fine with this decision, especially when you consider that it was San Jose's choice. I also think that it is the right one at this point. I think that right now Matt could be the number 2 keeper in San Jose. I think JT is just not there yet as far as being a number 1 or 2 for San Jose, just because San Jose has 4 solid goalkeepers. Getting into Saturday's match now. Like I said previously, I do have a post-game review blog for that game. Going into the game, I was really excited for it. I wanted to see how well the team did against a top team like Orange County. I also wanted to know if they were ready for the season. Going back to that doubleheader against Sacramento, they did not look ready for the start of the season. The signings took me off guard. I figured the team would sign some of the trial players. I did not, however, think that we would sign 1 goalie, let alone 2. It made JT starting in net more realistic in my mind as soon as they announced the signings. So how did the first half go? Well, Reno did good in the first half, I think. They maintained control throughout. This was largely due to Orange County staying back and not putting pressure on us while we had the ball in our own defensive end. We had some chances but didn't convert them. We could have had more chances, and I see that first half as a large missed opportunity because we didn't. We allowed for it to remain a draw at halftime. I think we would have had more chances and would have netted a few more in the first if we took advantage of Orange County playing back. One of the things we did, which was a mistake, is that when the ball was in our own end, we didn't push to put it back into Orange County's end. I think some of that came from JT. Most of the time he controls how quickly the ball exits our half because he is the keeper. He could have been trying to calm the nerves of some of the players, but that caused the offense to not be as effective as it could have been, in my opinion. I think that if we did push harder right out of the gate, we could have had 2 or 3 goals before the end of the first half. The only other thing that really happened in the first half was that Brian Brown went down towards the end of the first half. It looked like he rolled his ankle or someone stepped on his ankle. He did get up and walk it off. It looked pretty bad at first. He was like rolling on the ground and everything. And it did look like an injury that could have had him out at least for the rest of that game, maybe possibly longer. He did finish playing the half even though he did not look 100%. He also did return to start the second half. To me, that indicates that there's no major injury, but there could still be a minor injury. I don't think we'll know until the next game. If he is out, then that would be a big blow to our offense. He is, at least right now, the driving force behind our offense. I could see our offense struggling to get anything in the box or get any scoring chances if he is out. So what happened in the second half? Reno came out and got a goal in the 63rd minute. The goal was scored by Brian Brown. The goal was almost handed to him after a defensive mistake. The defender headed the ball wrong and it landed right in front of him. He put it in the net pretty easily. This goal just proves what I said last week, which is that Orange County's defense isn't better than our offense. Reno would net another in the 68th minute to go up by 2. During that play, the passing looked really good from Reno. Reno also had total control during that play. I think Reno made the decision to push to get the ball out of their zone quicker to start the second half, and it paid off. What killed the game for Reno was this one bad defensive play. The play was made by Seth Kasipli. I think it was a miscommunication on defense. What happened was he had put pressure on the offensive Orange County player. He was able to get the ball. He passed it back, but he didn't put enough power on it. Plus, it wasn't on target with either the goalie or other defenseman that was in the backfield at that time. The Orange County player was able to get the ball pretty easily. He just ran by Seth and was able to put the ball in the back of the net rather easily, as well as JT was out of position trying to get the ball after the poor pass by Seth. Things like this happen, though, especially at the beginning of the season, but it was the turning point for the game. You could see it in the way both teams reacted. Reno didn't turn around and push harder after that point to get their lead back. Reno just continued with their game plan. It did give them a few extra chances in the half, but they weren't able to score. Then at the end of the game, a foul was called on our keeper in the box. Orange County got a penalty kick. There wasn't much JT could have done in that situation. It was a close call, too, that could have gone either way, I really think. Reno shouldn't have been in that situation, though. Reno got into that situation because Orange County had made a change during the second half. The change that they made was that they were now putting more pressure on Reno in their defensive zone. Reno didn't adjust for that. I think that that's what led to the miscommunication that led to the first goal for Orange County. I also think that it put Orange County in a position where they could score late in the game. So the team has some things to work on before their next match. They need to get better at communication, which I think they will as the season goes on. They also need to be more aggressive on offense to start the game. If they do those things, then I think the team will have success this season. FC is taking on Austin Bold for the first time. Austin is an expansion team. It will also be the return of Diego Restrepo. In Austin's first game last weekend, they tied with Las Vegas, so that really shows you where they're at. I'm not sure how Austin will play during the game. I know that both teams will come into this game wanting their first win of the season. I think it would be good for Reno to get a win before they go to Fresno for the following game. I think that if they don't have a win going into that game, it will be even harder for them to win in Fresno. I think that Reno will win it, though. Reno has a lot more experience playing together. But obviously that doesn't matter. Miscommunications still happen. Experience isn't substitute for skill either. Yeah, Reno has a lot more playing experience together. And Diego Restrepo, who is Austin's goalie, has always struggled in Reno. Yeah, quick backstory on Diego. For the last 2 seasons, he's been playing with San Antonio. So he has played in Reno twice now. In his first game in Reno, he got mad at the fans and flipped them off as he was walking off at the end of the match. Yeah, in his second game last year, the fans took their revenge by taunting him the entire half. He was in their end. The fans had signs, chants, and even a garbage can with his face on it. And the garbage can was empty at the beginning of the match, but was full by the end of the match. So there's a rivalry going on between the fans and him, and I expect the fans to show no mercy to him this weekend either. And then this brings us to key players to watch out for in this game. For Reno, Brian Brown, because he has been a thrill to watch so far this season. I'd keep an eye on Seth Kasipli too, just to see if he even plays this weekend. I know some guys who think that he should be benched for his defensive mistake in the Orange County game. If he does play, watch out for if he is able to step up his game and play better than he did last weekend. If he does play, I would like to see him not make that same mistake. For Austin, players to watch for Austin, I just put down Diego Restrepo because he's pretty much the only guy you really need to watch out for on Austin. And why? Because he's going to get upset at some point. The fans will taunt him, and he might throw some of that back at them. Also, watch to see if he gets thrown off his game by the fans or if he can keep his head in the game. I know the last 2 times he's been in Reno, he's been thrown off his game by the fans. So, I personally don't think he'll be able to keep his head in the game, especially with some of the things that I've already heard that the fans want to do for this game. Moving on to Player of the Week, I chose Brian Brown this week again, just because he did everything he needed to do to make a difference in the game despite the result. He really did play how I think that he needed to play last week. He really showed up as a leader, and he really showed up as the driving force for the offense. Moving on to other team news, the Nevada Coyotes FC still have not played a game. They've had to cancel every game up to this point due to traveling conditions for the other teams in their league. So the league has worked with them to create a revised schedule that won't see any home games until May, so pretty much when all the snow and stuff is gone. I don't think them not playing a game is good for the players because they're going to be playing game 1 while other teams are playing their 3rd or 4th game. I just don't think that that's good. I don't think it's good for them because we haven't really seen where the team is at. They don't know any adjustments that they need to make yet. I think it's going to create some struggles for them moving forward. Anyway, that's all I have for this podcast. Thanks for listening to the All for Our City podcast. Be sure to visit zachelectrify.wordpress.com to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover bonus content.